Today we'll be taking a look at Atelier Ryza 2 for the Nintendo Switch. Even though it improves on many things compared to the first game, its laid-back narrative often struggles to maintain momentum, and it requires you to spend hours engaging with lore that never quite becomes compelling. The protagonist Ryza leaves her small hometown of Kirkin to visit the big city, because there are new runes that are discovered. She's an adventurer at heart, and the love of exploration alone is enough reason to move the plot forward for the first 20 hours. The story doesn't have an antagonist or crisis to move it forward. Instead, we have a myriad of personal problems, such as a farmer who is trying to get a rare crop to grow, or a waitress trying to find meaning in her work. If you're looking for a game where you're on a grand adventure to save the world, this is not it. However, if the intimate problems of everyday life intrigues you, this RPG might give a refreshing break. The overarching story is quite weak. Instead, the main attraction is each character's personal journey as they explore together. There are many short light-hearted scenes and skits, and they mostly focus on character development. It sort of works, but it wears thin after 40 hours. Thankfully, the world is absolutely worth exploring. I love the city's architecture, and the level design is expressive and excellent. There are plenty of little touches that add to the immersion, including the puddles on the ground after a rain, or how the characters' clothes get wet. The dungeons are non-linear. Your goal isn't to reach the depth, beat the boss, and call it a day. You have to tackle the runes like a real explorer. Sometimes that involves backtracking and searching more carefully. Sometimes it requires you to piece together the clues to create a recipe that allows you to explore further in. Throughout the dungeons, there are areas where you have to swing, shimmy, swim, slide, or crawl to make you feel like a true adventurer. After unlocking enough of the rune, a compass system will activate, and you will need to find glowing wisps to reveal phantom memories of the past. You go into a menu to match each clue to the correct ancient manuscript line to uncover its secrets. Normally, I love reading lore. Some of the best gaming experiences in my life were reading the lore in Xenosaga 3 or Final Fantasy XIV. However, the lore in Atelier Ryza 2 is sadly not that interesting, and being forced to read it is a bummer. If only the lore was better, then I wouldn't mind. Side quests are picked up at the pub and contribute to the city's reputation level. Increasing reputation has tangible benefits, such as lowering shop prices, improving merchant stock, and unlocking small but meaningful cutscenes where townsfolk personally thank you for your help. It's a simple system, but it provides satisfying feedback and reinforces the idea that your actions are positively impacting the city. Alchemy has always been the heart of the Atelier franchise, and Atelier Ryza 2 makes a conscious effort to streamline it for a wider audience. Veterans might notice that some depth have been lost. System-like trait combinations are no longer as complex or as rewarding as in older entries, and the new optional auto-crafting feature allows player to bypass manual synthesis entirely. That said, what remains is still excellent. Crafting uses a node-based system where materials are slotted into nodes to improve an item and unlock nearby upgrades. Color nodes grant special bonuses if the material's element matches, such as fire materials activating red nodes. Some recipes have a special node called the Recipe Morph. This will change your item into a completely different item, and is your primary means of learning new recipes. I think this is a genius system that makes full use of the node-based crafting. There is no traditional alchemy level. Instead, you spend SP to unlock a massive crafting skill tree. If you love nodes, you'll feel right at home here. One major change from past games is that item quality always increases when materials are added, regardless of their base quality. In general, more materials is always better, especially once you unlock nodes that allow additional slots per craft. Material gathering is also a joy. Every map is filled with sparkling resource nodes that blend seamlessly into the environment. Many resources can be collected in different ways. Do you hit a tree with a staff to collect fruit, or chop it down with an axe for lumber? These small choices add variety and keeps gathering engaging. The alchemy system is an absolute must in order to progress the game. The store-bought materials and gear isn't going to give you a fighting chance in the final few dungeons, so most of the gear and items must be crafted by yourself. Thankfully, the alchemy system is fun, so spending time to craft your masterpiece and feeling the effect in battle is very rewarding. This is easily the biggest reason I keep coming back to the Atelier series. The crafting system remains virtually unmatched. The active time battle system is heavily inspired by the Final Fantasies of the 1990s. Enemies attack in real time, even while you're selecting commands, giving battles a hectic and energetic feel. You directly control one character, while allies are AI-driven. Normal attacks and well-timed blocks generate AP, which is spent on skills. Using skills builds CC points and raises your tactics level. Items consume CC, and while they're extremely powerful, their limited availability and post-use delay make them feel like strategic trump cards rather than spammable tools. Sometimes, allies ask you to use either a physical or magical skill. You have a fraction of a minute to fulfill the request, but once you succeed, they will unleash a powerful skill for free. It's extremely rewarding and worthwhile. Generally, the battle is satisfying. The dynamic blocking and the ability for enemies to change target in battle makes it much more engaging. Let's talk about graphics on the Nintendo Switch 1. Generally, this game looks good. The art style deserves special praise for being convincing and coherent. However, rendering has some distracting artifacts. Lighting in bright areas seems to have a dithering effect that is very noticeable. The out of focus effect looks pretty unnatural if the model is extremely close up. Other than minor nitpicks, the game looks great. I especially like the weather effects. For a Switch title, the environmental effects are genuinely impressive. The soundtrack is excellent. It leans heavily into orchestral compositions performed with live instruments, creating a rich melodic atmosphere reminiscent of classic Disney films. It complements the game's lighthearted tone perfectly. I have an issue with the menuing system. Frequently, I open the wrong menu by pressing the wrong button. There is a button to open the local map, a different button to open the fast travel map, and yet another button to open the menu. If you hold the world map button instead of tapping it, you get access to yet a fourth menu. I prefer having a maximum of 2 menu screens accessible from the gameplay screen. Then the rest should be branching submenus. 4 separate menus feels unnecessarily cluttered. Atelier Ryza 2 is a polished and enjoyable RPG with excellent exploration, a fantastic crafting system, and satisfying combat. However, its overtly casual story and unremarkable lore hold it back from true greatness. If you're here for alchemy, exploration, and cozy JRPG vibes, there's a lot to love. Just don't expect a gripping narrative to carry you throughout the experience. Dadozy Gaming gives Atelier Ryza 2 an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming!